National Broadcasting Company presents Radio City Playhouse, Attraction 41. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the director of Radio City Playhouse, Harry W. Junkin.
Thank you, Fred Collins. Friends, it is with a deep sense of pride that we present a short note on the terrifying, incredible, yet somehow glorious phenomenon known as Danger B. To tell you the story of Danger B in his own way, here is the author of the Sant Report and the discoverer of Danger B, Dr. George Sant. Dr. Sant.
Thank you, Mr. Junkin. Ladies and gentlemen, I have at last been granted permission to broadcast the long suppressed pages of my report on Danger B, which was filed away as secret by the War Department in 1945. I believe it is possible that in discovering Danger B, I may well have discovered a method of winning mankind's oldest and most heartbreaking battle. A method of triumphing over our most ancient and terrifying enemy, death. Three weeks ago, a 28-year-old pilot named Ted Oxon crashed in a jet plane at the White Sands Proving Grounds. A few seconds after his machine hit the earth, it exploded, and Ted Oxon was instantly killed. There was something mysterious about this crash, mysterious and frightening. I flew to White Sands and had an interview with a Dr. Horler, the man who officially pronounced Ted Oxon dead. Here is an exact transcript of the conversation which occurred between Dr. Horler and myself 3 weeks ago in Dr. Horler's home.
Believe me, I'm quite aware of your reputation, Dr. Sant, but I've had strict orders from the War Department to suppress all information regarding Ted Oxon's death.
Why? Why this secrecy?
I don't quite know. I'd like to help you, Dr. Sant, but this is beyond me. It is incredible. It simply cannot be believed by hard-headed men of science.
The aircraft which Ted Oxon was piloting, it was an experimental type?
Yes.
Was it jet-propelled?
Yes.
How old was Ted Oxon?
28.
Are you sure of his age?
Yes, his birth certificate was with his papers.
You examined his body after the crash?
Yes.
Did you notice anything unusual about it? Was there anything...
No. I will not answer that question. I have been told that under no circumstances must I divulge any information.
My dear Dr. Horler, there is no reason to be so upset.
There is every reason to be upset. And I think you know that very well.
Did you see the speed indicator on Oxon's plane after it crashed?
Yes.
What was the reading?
I can't tell you.
Was it more than 1,500 miles per hour?
Yes. And now you'll have to excuse me.
All right, Dr. Horler, I'll leave. But I know now what happened to Ted Oxon. He experienced the phenomenon which I call Danger B. It is something that happens to a human being who moves too fast through space. I don't wonder it frightens you. It frightens me. But it may well be the key to a method of prolonging human life indefinitely.
Will you please go, Dr. Sant? This conversation is ended.
Yes, Dr. Horler, I'll go. But I'll get an order from Washington for an autopsy on Ted Oxon.
I'll fight it.
You may fight it as much as you like, Dr. Horler. But I have influence and I'll win. I'll win because I'm determined to publicize Danger B. I will not allow a rather timid doctor to suppress the knowledge of a force so revolutionary that it may well change the course of the world. I went to Washington. I did get an order for an autopsy on Ted Oxon, and this autopsy was performed by 3 of the nation's most prominent surgeons. The report of this autopsy is here beside me. The information contained in it will astound you as it did me. It may even frighten you, but there is no cause for alarm. In view of what I am now about to tell you, I wish you to remember that I have the report of this autopsy here with me in the studio. I shall read it to you shortly. It is absolute and concrete proof that what I call Danger B really exists. My story now goes back to 1934, when I was a young and very enthusiastic aircraft designer. This is a transcript of a conversation which I had with Sir Anthony Fleming, the president of the British Aerodynamics Board, superintendent of aircraft design for the Royal Air Force. The conversation took place in his office in London on a summer afternoon.
My dear Dr. Sant, you're a very young man and you're very excitable. I'm interested in your theories, but believe me, they're only theories.
But, Sir Anthony, I cannot understand why you aren't willing to at least try some of my designs. There is no reason on earth why an aircraft can't travel 1,000 miles an hour.
There are many reasons, Dr. Sant. Many reasons. When an aircraft approaches the speed of sound, strange things happen to it. Strange forces come into play. The hurtling metal machine crushes the atmosphere into something hard and unyielding. A brick wall of compressed air, if you like. We don't know much about it yet.
I know all about it.
I beg your pardon?
I know all about it. The sonic barrier, I say it is nonsense.
Do you really?
And I can prove it. I call the sonic barrier Danger A.
Danger A.
I believe that by 1936 the sonic barrier will have lost its terror. Sir Anthony, have you ever heard of the gun and candle principle?
Are you presuming to instruct me in elemental physics?
Oh, believe me, Sir Anthony, I don't mean to be impudent, but as you know, if you fire a soft wax candle from a smooth-bore gun, the power behind it will drive that candle through an oak plank. Now, that is the principle behind the FS-1.
The FS-1?
FS is an abbreviation of Flying Spade. The ship resembles the Ace of Spades. It embodies an entirely new theory in jet propulsion that will not only allow us to triumph over the sonic barrier, or Danger A, as I call it, but may also allow us to investigate an entirely new type of physical phenomenon which I refer to as Danger B.
Dr. Sant, your conversation reminds me of nothing quite so much as Jules Verne. Drama and sensationalism should be left out of science.
Well, Galileo didn't leave it out, nor did Newton, nor Pasteur.
What an extraordinary young man you are. Pasteur, indeed.
Oh, I didn't mean to compare myself with men like that, but...
Didn't you? And just what is this Danger B?
It is a physical and mental phenomenon which occurs within and without the human body when it travels at speeds above 1,500 miles per hour. It is the most frightening thing that I've ever experienced, and I'm positive that...
Experience? Am I to understand that you yourself have traveled at this speed?
No, but I'm sure that
This Danger B is an experience that you've worked out on paper?
Yes, sir. But I know it exists. I know it, that's all. If you could only trust me for 6 months and give me the equipment that I need to experiment, I'm positive that I could demonstrate that it exists.
Look, Dr. Sant, why don't we talk about this some other time? I'm really very busy, and by Jove, it's 5:15. I'm frightfully sorry, but I should be late for my tea.
Oh, nobody would listen to me. I was a visionary. I was a mad scientist. Well, it wasn't long before British and American aircraft designers did triumph over the sonic barrier. Today, in 1949, many aircraft can travel faster than sound. But in those days, 1934, no one would believe me. During the next 6 years, Danger B became an obsession with me. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I became desperate. Every disappointment made me strain the harder. I resolved that if necessary, I would sacrifice my life in order to prove to the world that Danger B was a real danger, that it did exist, that it might be used to benefit mankind. It took me until 1941 to complete my plan. And then, with the approval of the War Department, I negotiated a loan from a fabulously wealthy motor car manufacturer. You would immediately recognize his name, but he is asked to remain anonymous. I told this man about Danger B in his own home on the evening of January the 16th, 1941.
This is astounding. It's the most astounding thing I've ever heard. Is this theory your own discovery?
No, sir, actually it isn't. There was a mathematician named Berliner who died in 1910. He wrote a paper called Living Cells and Their Relation to Time, Velocity, and Space. In it, he suggested that Danger B existed.
Have you a copy of this paper?
No. There's a copy in the British Museum, which I have seen. I believe there's one in the Bodleian Library. I know of no other.
Dr. Sant, do you really believe that Danger B can save lives?
I think it might.
But isn't it possible that once a man enters Danger B, he might never be able to return?
Yes, sir, that is very possible.
And you are prepared to take this risk?
If I can build an aircraft fast enough to incur such risk, yes, I'm quite prepared to be killed.
Dr. Sant, how much money will you need?
$1 million.
I see. Dr. Sant, you're a very remarkable man. I'll let you have the money. The Secretary of Defense is very interested in this project, and so am I. More than this, I would rather like to play a part in the eventual discovery of so shattering a phenomenon as Danger B.
I got the money. The work was unending. Day after day after day, we struggled and sweated and even quarreled over the FS2. There was discouragement and heartbreak. And then there were moments of glorious achievement that made all the past trouble seem worthwhile. It was at this time that the War Department sent me Captain Richard Mayo, one of those rare and wonderful flying prodigies who longed to get away from this slow, boggy earth. He had courage, imagination, guts. He had everything. We finished the FS2 in April of 1945. We shipped it by train under the greatest secrecy to the White Sands Proving Grounds in New Mexico. The flight, which would once and forever bring us face to face with Danger B, was planned for April 16th. The night before the flight, Captain Mayo and I talked for a long time. We sat on a bench outside the isolated hangar which housed the FS2 and talked far into the night.
Dr. Sant, it's time we went to bed. There's no use wondering about it. By this time tomorrow, we'll either know or we'll be dead.
It's got to be there. Danger B has got to exist. It has to.
We'll know tomorrow.
Yes. We'll know tomorrow.
Is it liable to change us physically? I mean, the way we look?
It might, Dick. I don't know what symptoms to expect. I only know that they will be violent and frightening. That's the reason for the tape recorder. Even if the ship does crash, that tape recorder is indestructible. It's encased in a magnesium box. It's absolutely foolproof. And, Dick, you've got to talk. You've got to describe everything you feel and think. If anything happens to us, that recorded impression of Danger B must be complete. Otherwise, there'll be no proof, nothing.
Dr. Sant, we've done everything we can. It's late. Let's turn in.
No, you go to bed. I'm going to sit out here for a while.
All right, but don't stay too long.
No, I won't.
Good night.
Good night, Dick. And remember what I say. Someday men will be looking out from those stars up there, looking down at this old earth. And the first hurdle they'll have to lick will be my Danger B. The FS2 weighs 3 tons. It looks like a great silver ace of spades. The tiny cabin is pressurized, and the temperature is controlled so that 2 men can be perfectly comfortable in light flying suits. Oxygen masks are unnecessary, but we carried them in case of emergency. It is powered by 8 L-79 turbojets and 18 Aerojato rocket units. These engines at top speed develop a thrust of 96,000 pounds, or 48 tons. It was my belief that this colossal power could be maintained in flight for at least 40 minutes. Takeoff time was at 9:15 on the morning of April the 16th. We took off with the help of a B-29, which has 4 Pratt & Whitney engines. The tiny FS2 was nestled under the belly of the enormous B-29 and held in place by a series of electromagnetic grapples. As soon as the B-29 attained a speed of 200 miles per hour, the FS2 would be released and then swing free of the mothership. The engines of the B-29 roared in our ears. We were both taut and strained with nervousness and the fear of the unknown effects of Danger B. The noise of the B-29 seemed deafening. Slowly we edged to 175 miles per hour, then 200, the lowest speed at which our jet engines would function. When the B-29 hit 225 miles per hour, Captain Mayo and the B-29 pilot had a short conversation. Then Captain Mayo switched on our jet engine. Seconds later, the electromagnetic grapples were released, and the FS2 swung free of the B-29. We shot ahead like a bullet from a gun, and almost in an instant, the roar of the mighty B-29 died away far behind us. In 30 seconds, we reached 400 miles per hour, then 500, then 6. Everything was working perfectly. What's the thrust, Dick?
12,000 pounds.
All right, give it more oxygen.
Right.
I'm going to start recording. Remember what I told you. Describe every sensation, no matter how ordinary it seems. If anything happens to us, there's got to be absolute proof of what we experience.
I'll remember. You go first.
This is George Sand speaking. I am making this tape recording on board the FS2. The time is 9:31. Our altitude is 15,000 feet. Speed 600 miles per hour. Ship functioning perfectly.
It's a perfect day for it. Perfect.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
All right, give it more helium. Right. Edge it up quickly to critical speed.
Okay.
How's the temperature?
Normal.
Get it up over the speed of sound. The noise of these jets is deafening.
All right. That's it. Faster than sound.
This is George Sant on board the FS2. The time is 9:33, altitude 19,000 feet. We have just passed the sonic barrier, and the coughing and roaring of the jets has stopped. We hear only a low swishing noise of air against the ship. It is strange to feel that the roar of our motors is only 10 feet behind us, and that we cannot hear it. We are accelerating very rapidly and climbing almost vertically. We feel no sensations of discomfort. Ship functioning perfectly. Feel all right?
Yes, fine.
But accelerate more.
At this altitude?
Our fuel will only last 40 minutes. Give it everything.
All right.
This is George Sant recording aboard the FS2. Altitude is now 41,000 feet. Rate of climb very fast. Speed 850. Time 9:37. No unusual sensations except that I am somehow becoming aware of how fast we are traveling. A moment ago, I felt we were hanging motionless in space. Now we seem to be moving in a different way, almost as though we were being drawn along our course by a magnet. The ship is functioning perfectly. You feel all right?
I feel that we're going very fast.
Yes, we're beginning to feel it. It's slight, but it's starting. Shove the throttle right over.
It's wide open now.
Can you feel it?
As though we were being drawn towards something. Something incredibly powerful.
All right, here, take the microphone. Record exactly what you feel.
All right, give it to me. This is Captain Richard Mayo, recording aboard the FS2. Thrust is almost 30 tons and increasing very fast. I feel a strange sort of pressure. I'm becoming very conscious of some sort of force, sense of great speed with something almost electric about it. It's hard to describe the sensation, but it's something like falling too quickly in a fast elevator. I'm not experiencing fear, but I am nervous and sweating out. Here, you take me. It hurts a little to talk.
Yes, it's starting. We're entering danger B now. It'll get a great deal worse, and I have no idea what will happen. Try to keep talking as long as you can.
Right.
This is George Sant. Time is 9:39. We have just touched 1,200 miles per hour. We have now a terrific sensation of tremendous speed. Something seems to be pressing against us, some strange force. I feel an odd woolliness in my head. It is becoming very painful to move at all. I'm leaving the microphone switched on and locked to its support on the dashboard between Captain Mayo and myself. Now say something. Don't stop talking, Dick. Say something.
I can't.
Talk, can't you? Can't you stand a little pain?
Not this. It's agonizing.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. And the pain's getting less. It's getting less.
Dick, please keep talking, please.
This is Captain Mayo. Dr. Sands placed the microphone in its rack between us. I'm looking straight ahead, but I have difficulty seeing. Everything's very bright, almost blinding. Our speed's 1,400 miles per hour. Time's 9:42:30. Our altitude is 70,000 feet. Thrust is 45 tons and slowing. The pain in my jaws and hands has gone away. I'm feeling some nausea. I can't understand why I'm so conscious of enormous speed. I'm not looking at the Earth. There's nothing to gauge our speed with. But I feel as though I'm hurtling through space like a bullet.
Well, go on, Dick. We've got to have a record of this. Nothing can happen to that tape even if we crash. Now, please, keep talking.
I can't. I'm not here. I'm not really here.
Go on. We're in danger B. Don't you understand? Danger B.
Dr. Sant wants me to talk, but But I can't. I'm not here. I'm in a marauder. In France. In the war.
Go on. Go on.
I can't. Please, I can't.
This is George Sand speaking. I am quite conscious of what I am saying. I feel a great sensation of speed. And Captain Mayo looks ill and ashen white. His whole body is trembling. We are trying to talk clearly so that you will understand. Captain Mayo has just said he was in a marauder in France.
We've got to turn. We've got to slow down, please. Oh, my arm, my arm!
Dick, what is it?
Oh, my arm is broken.
Tell me quickly. Did you break your arm in France?
Yes, we've got to turn.
When?
I don't understand what's happening to us.
When did you break your arm?
In France. In 1942, in a marauder.
Dick! Captain Mayo is blacked out. He just said that his arm was broken, and I can see it hanging at a horribly twisted angle from his elbow. The ship is handling very easily. It no longer is painful to move. Speed is 1,600 miles per hour. Thrust 48 tons. Sensation of great speed is almost unbearable. I expect to enter Danger B myself at any moment. Captain Mayo is recovering consciousness. He looks very ill. Dick, are you all right?
It's gone now. My arm's all right. It's gone now, the pain.
Talk louder.
I can't. We've got to turn, Dr. Sam.
Leave the throttle alone. Leave the throttle alone!
Please slow down. I can't stand this any longer.
This is George Sand speaking. I have a strange illogical sense of having gone out of this world. I feel great fear and a sickening sensation of incredible speed. Everything is whirling around me. Our speed is 1,700 miles per hour. I am remembering 1938 very clearly. I am remembering 1938 almost as though I weren't here. My sister had a Schnauzer dog. In the summer of 1938, it bit me badly. Dick, look at my hand!
No, turn back, please,
I'm
turn
looking
back.
at my wrist. I'm trying very hard to speak loudly enough for this to be recorded. I cannot move closer to the microphone. I feel paralyzed. And I feel pain in my wrist. I can feel the fur of the dog. Get away! Dick, look!
No, turn around. We've got to slow down, please.
4 half-healed lacerations on my skin are getting angry and inflamed. They're unmistakably the marks of the dog's teeth. They're getting redder, inflamed and bleeding, and they're open red wounds. They're bleeding.
Turn around, please, Dr. Sand. Turn around.
My God. The wound of the dog's bite is gone. There are little spots of blood on my flying suit, but the wound has disappeared. Not even the scars remain. The ship seems to be flying without any assistance from either of us, as though it were being drawn along a groove of space by some outside power. I have a great feeling for 1932. Captain Mayo is blacked out again. I'm beginning to feel better. I am thinking very clearly of 1932. Captain Mayo has just lost one of his heavy flying gauntlets. It fell off his hand, and his hands are those of a small boy. We are at the peak of Danger B. It cannot last much longer. I am looking at Captain Mayo's hands, and they are very young hands. There is no longer any of the heavy black hair on his wrists. His flying suit is crumpled and wrinkled around his too small body. The speed indicator has stopped moving, and I cannot read it. We must be traveling 2,000 miles an hour. We're traveling backwards in time.
Please turn back.
Captain Mayo has regained consciousness again. He is trying to reach for the throttle, but he cannot move. I'm trying to cut our motors. The emergency switch is at my fingertips, but
Mother, please help me.
I have reached the emergency button, and Ladies and gentlemen, we landed 20 minutes later. Had we remained on that course for another minute, we would not now be alive. At the moment when Captain Mayo called to his mother, he was a little boy, ludicrously little in his flying suit, which was slipping away from him as he grew smaller, line by line. Once we turned, the reverse process took place, and very soon our minds and bodies were back to normal. I knew then that what Berliner had dreamed was true. Traveling at a very high speed in a given direction, man touches one of the grooves along which time travels. Captain Mayo and I had gone back in time, many years. If this process could be controlled, we could remain perpetually young. Ladies and gentlemen, you may think this fantastic. I told you at the beginning that I would give you proof. I told you about Ted Oxon, the young flyer who crashed 3 weeks ago at the White Sands Proving Grounds. I told you I managed to have the War Department order an autopsy on his body. I have the results of this autopsy with me now. When Ted Oxon took off in his jet plane, he was 28 years old. 28. The remains on which the autopsy was performed must, according to certain chemical tests, must have been those of a boy between 9 and 10 years old. This I regard as proof that Danger B exists. Perhaps you will, too. There is, however, much that must still be worked out. Good night.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented Radio City Playhouse, Attraction 41, Note on Danger B. The story was written by Gerald Kirsch, and all characters were purely fictional. The radio adaptation was written by Harry W. Junkin, who also directed the production. Dr. George Sant was played by John Larkin. Richard Mayo was Bill Lipton. Other players included Horace Bram and Paul Mann. The music was composed and conducted by Dr. Roy Shield.
This is Harry Junkin again. Next week on Radio City Playhouse, the story of how love came to Professor Gildear, with Louis Van Rooten and David Gothard. Please join us for this exciting story next week, Attraction 42, on Radio City Playhouse. Good night, everybody.
This is Fred Collins speaking, and this is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.